Hello everyone. So today in this session we are gonna solve the sample assignment of computational thinking provided by IIT Madras Online Degree program. Okay. So to begin with, we have a first question in place, but we will start with the second question so that we get one concept that I want all you to learn before we solve the first question. So the second question says, what will the values of A and B represent at the end of execution of the given procedure on the course dataset? So one thing you gotta notice is that you don't have to open the dataset at all. It's just a waste of time. You can only do the question by reading the steps and then you'll get your answer. I'll show you how. Step 1 says arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Step 2 says maintain two variables A, B and initialize them to 0 and 100 respectively. So we have A as 0 and B as 100. Read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. If A is less than physics marks, then store physics marks in A. So let us imagine that a card comes up in which the physics marks is 50, and we see that A, which is initially 0, is less than 50. Yeah, so 50 will be stored in A. So the other time the loops runs up, let's see, 60 comes up. Okay, so 50 is less than 60. A is less than physics marks, right? 50 is less than 60. Then 60 will be stored in A. So in the same way, when we repeat this step over and over till the stack 1 is empty, by the end of the execution we'll get maximum marks of physics in the variable A. Similarly, if you think of B, we have initialized its value as 100. So if chemistry marks is less than B, let's say chemistry marks is 60. So if 60 is less than 100, so yes, 60 is less than 100, then store chemistry marks in B. Then 60 will be stored in B. Let us say 50 comes up, so 50 is less than 60, then 50 will be stored in B. So ultimately what we will be getting is the lowest marks of chemistry in B. So option 1 says highest marks of physics and lowest marks of chemistry respectively. See, we don't need to go to that link at all. So in this manner you can solve the question without visiting the dataset. Okay, one more thing to remember here is that whenever you have to calculate the maximum value, you have to initialize it as 0. See, A is initialized to 0 and A gives the highest marks, and we have to initialize B to 100 to give us the lowest marks. Now this will help us in the first question. So the first question says mark the following statements as true or false. So first part says initial value of variable count should be 0 while counting cards in a stack. So it is true, yes, you can't start the counting in the middle of the number line or the number system. You can't start the counting with 2 or 3, right? It must start from 0. So 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, and respectively. And the second part says initial value of the variable minimum should be 0 while finding lowest marks in subject. So as we see, the initial value for the variable minimum should not be 0, it should be 100, right? So this statement turns out to be false. And similarly, the initial value of variable max should be 0. Yes, it should be, so it will be true. Okay, now moving on to the third question. If you have any doubts, you can. Okay, no doubts. Okay guys, thanks. What will be the values of A and B represent at the end of execution of the given procedure on scores dataset? So once again, we don't need to open that score dataset once again. So step 1 says arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Then maintain two variables A, B and initialize them to 0. So the value of A and B in the initialization step is 0. So read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Then if date of birth contains July, see, let's imagine the first card comes up and the date of birth is not July, then what will happen? Then we will be executing step 3 once again. Then we'll take another card, right? So we'll be taking card by card till July comes up, and if July comes up, we'll execute step 5. And what does step 5 says? If gender is male, then increment A, else increment B. So if the gender male is born in July, A will be increased, and if the gender is female and she's born in July, then B will be increased. then we have to repeat the steps. So at last what we'll be getting at A is the number of males and B as the number of females student born in July respectively, and that's the option B. Yeah, any doubts here? Yeah, Abhay. Yeah, thank you. All right, all right. Okay. So moving to the fourth question. The following procedure finds the town or city of the topper student from the scores dataset, but the programmer may have made a mistake in one of the steps. Identify the steps, if any. So what we have to do is just we have to find the maximum marks. If a student has some maximum marks, then we have to store its city in the variable city and its marks in the variable max, right? So first we see, so step 1 says arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Then step 2 says maintain a variable max and initialize it to 0. Step 3 says maintain a variable city and initialize it to none. Step 4 says read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. So far so good. Step 5 says if total marks is greater than max, then store total marks in max and town and city in city. Okay, that is also good. Yeah, if total marks is greater than max, yeah, right. And step 6 says repeat steps 2 to 5 until stack 1 is empty, and step 2 to 5, right? So step 2 is maintain a variable max initial. No, we can't repeat this 2 and 3 step. These are initializing step, so the loop only contains those steps in which we are performing the action. We don't initialize a variable regularly after completion of every loop. If we do so, what we will be getting at the end of the execution will be the in the max we will be getting the marks of the last student, and in the town and city we will be getting the city of the last student, if you can imagine. Yeah, so step 6 is wrong. Okay, any doubts? Yes, Ayush. Yes. Okay. Yeah, moving to the question number 5, it says the given procedure finds the number of students having below average total marks in the scores data set. Fill in the blanks for the given choices and complete the procedure. Okay, so what we have to do is first we have to calculate the average marks, and then we have to calculate the number of students which are below average. Okay, so step 1 says arrange all cards. Okay, maintain two variables. Okay, count and sum, initialize them to 0. Read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to in the pile called stack 2. Step 4 says increment count. Step 5 says in step 5 to calculate the average we have to add the total marks to a variable called sum. Let's say sum. Okay, so we'll see which step says we have to add it. Okay, store total marks in a variable sum, no. Store total marks in variable sum, no. Add total marks to variable sum, add total. So A and B gets knocked off here, so we are left with C and D because we have to add. No, we don't have to store it. Okay, so step 6 is repeat of from step 3 to step 5 until stack 1 is empty. Maintain a variable average and initialize it to 0. Calculate average, divide sum by count. Okay, this is correct, and store the result in average. Maintain a variable below average count and initialize it to 0. Read and move one card at a time from stack 2 to stack 1. Okay, so we have already transferred all the cards to stack 2 in the step 3, so now we are bringing it back from stack 2 to stack 1. Then we in this step 11 we have to calculate the number of below average students, right? So we have, what condition we have to see is if their total marks is less than average marks. So let us see which option says that. Out of C and D. So D says total marks is greater than average, no. If total marks is less than average, yes. If total marks is less than average, then increment BA count. So step C would be our correct option. Any doubts here? Yes. Yeah, doubt clearing sessions will be conducted after these online classes, these live classes. Yes, maybe from we'll start from 3 and 4. Yeah. Okay, no, it's okay. Thank you all guys to be here with us. Like, you all are supporting us. Okay. Okay, moving on to question number 6. The following procedure counts the number of words from the paragraph words dataset where part of speech is verb and letter count is greater than or equal to 5. But the programmer may have made a mistake in one of the following steps. Identify the steps if any. Okay. Steps are: step 1, arrange all cards. So see, once again, we don't have to look at into the data set at all. It's just a waste of time. When you are not figuring out the code well, then you can go to that data set. So step 1 says arrange all cards in a single pile called stack1. Then step 2 says maintain a variable count and initialize it to 0. So far so good. Step 3 says read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Okay. Step 4 says if part of speech is verb, let me check where the part of speech is verb, right, and letter count is greater than or equal to 4, but it says greater than or equal to 5. So step 4 must be the the step in which the programmer has made the mistake. So yeah, step 4. All right. If you have any doubts, yeah, that's a pretty straightforward. Yeah. Okay. So moving on to the question number 7. The given procedure finds the average length of words in the paragraph words dataset. Match the given options with their equivalent missing steps. Okay, so step 1 says arrange all cards in a single pile called stack1. So we have to calculate the average length of words, right? So for that, what we have to do is we have to initialize two variables. First will be count and second will be total. What it will do is that in count we'll store the total number of letters that we encountered, and in total we'll store that the number of letters we encountered, and in count we'll store the number of words. Okay, so step 2 is not given to us. So in the start of the program, what we have to do is just initialize the value. So we'll just see which step is initializing. So calculating, maintaining, and adding. So maintain two variables, count and total, initialize them to 0 would be the step 2. Then step 3 says read and move one card at a time. Stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Step 4 says increment count. Step 5 says nothing, we have to find it. Okay, so in step 5 we'll be calculating the average, right? So so in step 5 what we will doing is adding the letter count to variable total. Yeah, whenever we take up a new word, we increment count and then we add the letter count to the variable total. Yes, and then we repeat steps 3 to 5 until stack 1 is empty. Then we have to maintain a variable average and initialize it to 0. And then lastly we'll be calculating the average, divide total by count, and then store the result in average. Yes, so the correct order would be B, then C, then A. B, then C, then A. Okay, if there is any doubt. Okay, no doubts. Okay guys. Okay, moving on to question number 8. It says what will be the value, what will be the given procedure compute and store in the variable F executed in shopping bills dataset. Okay, once again we don't have to open that shopping bills dataset once again. So what are we doing here is, in step 1 we are arranging all the cards in single file called stack 1. Step 2, maintain 3 variables A, B, C, initialize them to 0. Step 3 says read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Okay, if shop name is SV Stores and customer name is Ahmed, then set A equal to 1. If shop name is Big Bazaar and customer name is Ahmed, then B to 1. And if shop name is Sun General and customer name is Ahmed, then set C to 1. So what we are doing is, if Ahmed ever visited SV Stores, then the value of A will be 1. If he didn't visit it, then value of A will be 0. So let us imagine for this case, he never visited SV Stores. He visited SV Stores and Big Bazaar but never visited Sun General. So the value of A will be 1, B will be 1, and C will be 0. Okay, so maintain a variable X and initialize it to none. Okay, none type variable. And if A is equal to 0, no, we just said that he visited SV Store, so A is not 0. A is not 0, B is not 0, but C is 0. Then update X value as Sun General. So what we are ultimately getting in X? So in the end, see, the X will be representing the stores in which Ahmed never visited, right? So we can see the options. It says the store which Ahmed never visited is E option, and that is the correct option. So if we have any doubts, are we clear? Okay. Yeah, right. So moving on to question number 9, what will be the values of X after the execution of the following procedure using shopping bills dataset? Click on the link given below. Okay, for this particular question, we have to open that link. Okay, I'll just read the steps, then we'll be opening the link. Okay, step 1 says arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1, maintain a variable X and initialize it to 0, read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. If bill contain an item milk, then add its quantity in X and repeat steps 3 and 4. So what we have to do, we have to take that data set, a particular card, and then we'll see if milk is there, and if milk is there, we'll add its quantity to X, which we have initialized to 0. Okay, so now we'll be opening the link. Okay, so I'll open it. Yeah, and here the descending order, these cards are given in descending order. We'll open the first card, and it says we will check if item has a milk. No. We'll check the second one. No. We'll check the third one. Nope. We'll check the fourth one. Nope. We'll check the fifth one. Yes, it has the milk and its quantity is 3. So initially the value of X is 0 and now it's 3. We'll check the next one, and no. We'll check the next one, and yes, the quantity is 3. So we'll add it. So now the value of X will be 6. Okay, so we'll apply this procedure on all these bills, and then at last what we will be getting is 22.5. All right, so moving on to our last question. If you have any doubt, no? Okay, so moving on to our next question, we have the following procedure finds the average total bill amount of all the bills generated at SV stores from shopping bills dataset. Click on this, but the programmer may have any mistake for any of these steps. Okay, so what we have to do is, first we'll have to categorize the SV stores bill, and then we'll be calculating the average total bill amount. So step 1 says arrange all cards in a single pile called stack 1. Step 2 says maintain two variables sum and count, initialize them to 0. So far so good. Step 3 says read and move one card at a time from stack 1 to another pile called stack 2. Step 4 says if the shop name is SV stores, then increment count and to add total. Yeah, we have to check if it's add. Sometimes it's written store. Total bill amount to sum. Okay. Step 5 says repeat steps 3 and 4, 3 and 4, yeah, until stack 1 is empty. Step 6 says maintain a variable average and initialize it to 0. Okay. And step 7 says calculate average, divide count by sum and store the result in average. So it looks like it's okay, but like there's a mistake here. Divide count by sum. So for calculating average, we have to divide sum by count, right? So we'll just go with the step 7, and here is the end of our assignment. I would love to have some suggestions from your side too. Thank you.